the entity that is most morally culpable for the destruction in Gaza is Hamas itself, because they've embedded themselves in civilian populations. They've embedded themselves in schools and hospitals. They have publicly, they often, their leaders are quoted as, we're willing to sacrifice tens of thousands of people for the cause.
Yeah, with all respect, I completely disagree with the premise, because I think this is simply a feature of Israeli propaganda inside of this war. Every country that prosecutes a war is going to have an information sort of engine that is producing a kind of version of events. And here in this case, what Israel needs to do for its own population in the world is to dehumanize the Palestinian in Gaza. And then what he needs to do in that propaganda machine is to shift blame for all of these deaths to the victims of the bombing and so forth. So what you have here is just a remarkable, blaming the victim. So in some sense that they're responsible for what is happening here. Now, let me just sort of take a couple of angles on this. First of all, this whole business, we imagine then that there's a crowd of 5,000 Gazans who are somewhere in the sand. And then a member of the Hamas military branch goes into the middle of them and shoots off a rocket. That's not exactly how it's happening at all. So Doctors Without Borders, Amnesty International, the many on-the-ground organizations that have been working with the medical services, they have openly disputed this. They say, no, this is not happening at all. The problem is that the people who belong to the Hamas military wing, they are regular citizens that are inside of the country. And so therefore, what happens is they may be living inside of these dense urban areas, yet they might be gathering elsewhere in order to conduct their assaults on Israel. Okay, so here's my question, and that is this. If someone who does belong to Hamas military wing, but we're just talking about anyone, I guess, from Israel's point of view and Hamas, and they are actually living with their families inside of a building, is it legitimate for Israel then to bomb the building? Right. In other words, is that embeddedness? I mean, this simply, and Israel is going to say, well, again and again, they say this, we actually have got a kill ratio that we're willing to live with. People who are working inside of Israel's targeting inside of the military have come out and confidentially reported that this is a common practice. If there are two, maybe families with Hamas fighters living inside of a building, they prefer to actually come at night, and they're willing to sacrifice 200 or 300 people in order to kill those two. So therefore, let's just imagine if you do have Hamas fighters who are inside of a community of people, when does that kill ratio become reprehensible? Let's just grant this. Let's just imagine the worst case scenario. Let's just say for a moment that you have 4 Hamas, men who are about to shoot a rocket, and they happen to be embedded in, let's just say, 2,000 Gazan refugees. Let's just set that up for a moment. Is it legitimate for Israel to drop a 2,000-pound bomb, creating a massive crater right in the middle of those 2,000 people? At what point does the kill ratio, proportionality, become absolutely obscene? So, granting their premise, I'm going to say, nevertheless, I don't think you can do the kinds of things Israel is doing, even if it were true. But I'm questioning even if that is true.
Rob, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I think that's well stated, Gary.